Okay, we are now recording.
Okay, hello, welcome to this April, what is it, 9th meeting of the Energy and Climate Action Committee in Amherst. The committee was organized to guide the town in meeting its climate mitigation and resilience goals. Those goals and the plan for getting there were adopted from the Climate Action Adaptation and Resilience Plan, or the CARP, which was accepted by the town council in 2021. It took 2016 as its base year and calls for a 25% reduction in carbon emissions by 2025, 50% by 2030, and carbon neutrality by 2050. So this committee has two primary functions. One is to advise the town council and recommend or propose policies or actions that will help us meet our climate goals. And the other is to promote a just, equitable, and speedy climate response through outreach and engagement of town and local stakeholders. So with that in mind, first thing we always do is assign a note taker. So last time I think Tony did it. Do we have a volunteer for this time? Let's see. I don't know.
I could do it. Michael can do it.
Michael? All right, thank you, Michael. The next item of business is to review the minutes from last time. I can share them here. I can find them. One moment, here it is. Let me just share. ECAC meeting minutes. 326, that sounds right. Share. All right, let me get you guys somewhere I can see you. And all right, and here are the minutes from last time. I had a couple of small things I just noticed.
I think the dates are
Oh,
slightly off.
Oh, yep.
this
Yeah,
is
that should
probably,
be the 12th.
thank you. That should be March 12th here.
Or, well, February. No, I'm sorry. It's February 26th.
Did we not have a meeting in?
Did
Is this-
we, or maybe,
This would have been the.
We didn't.
Oh,
no,
This
that
would
was
end
the
up
last,
having-
that was the meeting. That's right.
this says, so the problem is this here, because these are the minutes from 326, but this is, says it's 312.
So
That's-
it's the title that's wrong, I think, right?
No,
Anyway,
that was from the
I'll check it.
26th.
I'll correct it.
No,
I'll correct it.
I think these are the minutes from 326.
They are.
Wrong here.
Mhm.
Yeah,
just
so
forgot to change
it
the-
should be the 12th. It should be March 12th.
12, 26. I don't think so. I think that should be 26. Because our last meeting was 2 weeks ago, right?
Right.
So that would have been the
Didn't-
26th. And so this is correct. The title of the.
It's right. It's the minutes from, that's correct, right?
So this is from the 26th. So if this is the minutes from. This is the
March
min-
12th. That should say March 12th.
I don't. What happened to the minutes from our last meeting then? Is this the wrong one?
No. Under item 1, review and vote minutes from, that should say March 12th.
This should say March 12th.
That's what I'm saying.
Correct.
That should say
Okay.
March 12th.
Right, okay, so that needs to be March 12th. I'll just mark it. Okay, good. And this needs to be March 26th here.
Correct.
Okay, good. Right, we're all on the same page now.
It was just that one. It was just the one, the minutes.
Yeah, it was also this up here at the top. March 26th up here was March 12th. So,
Oh, okay.
all right, so that's why there was a confusion. Okay, so this is all fine. I didn't understand this. Allison addressed the ease of economics of it for PACE. Does that mean something to someone?
Where are you looking?
This yellow here, ease of economics.
I don't know.
I
Mm,
think Allison, I think Don, you addressed maybe just the economics of
he
Minnesota.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
He was comparing the economics between the two.
Yeah.
So I'll make a note. Allison compared the economics.
Yeah, Yeah,
of Pace and Mass
I,
Save?
I think what I was saying is that there's no real cost to engage in mass save stuff.
right, and there
Whereas
is,
the
yeah.
retrofitting, working with Pace is
it's different.
that you pay. It's a cost.
Yeah, so Allison Allison compared, how about that? Compared the economics of
of mass save
Save.
programs. Yeah.
Mass Save and Pace. We can just leave it at that, I think, right?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
fine. Yep.
That makes more sense. I just thought we should write out sustainability here. That's all I was highlighting here.
Yep.
Festival or fest is probably fine. And other than that, are there any other, we mentioned Claudia's name, but we don't really say who Claudia is. Somewhere we mentioned Claudia. Yeah, I don't know whether we should bother with that or not.
That's Marty.
Maybe we should just,
You know what? I think I had corrected, maybe I put in the wrong minutes. Because I think I had corrected that and said, the executive director of the chamber.
Yeah.
Left.
left.
Lori, I'm making corrections on my own copy too,
Okay,
so.
good. I'm just typing them in so people can see what we're
Yep.
voting on. Okay, so I thought that was all fine. And regarding the banner, I wanted to point out that the current banner does not have Pace on it. I put it up on my wall here. The current banner has a bunch of QR codes. I'll talk about it later that connect folks to different programs, but not Pace. So that's not one we have already. So we're still waiting for a banner for that. And then I think that was it. No, a little bit here. No, sorry, a little bit more. No, there's a lot more. Elevate, we're going to talk about today. YouTube, I think, needs a capital T. That's all that was about. I think it's usually YouTube with a T like that. No? Period can probably go away there. I think Drucker is missing a C here. Got that? Stephanie?
Yep.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Move to accept.
I'll move to accept.
Thank you, Tony. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who
Was
said
that
Is
Michael?
that Michael?
Correct.
Thanks.
And Lori, can you close the minutes?
Yes. Stop share.
Thank you. Okay, and in no particular order, Allison? I'll skip you. McElrath? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Missing.
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Allison?
You're
You're
muted.
on mute.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Sorry. Yes.
Okay, and Goldner?
Yes.
Okay, minutes are approved.
Okay. I've got some very weird lighting going in here today. Let me do one more thing. That's a little better. All right, so with that, the next thing on the agenda is always public comment. There are no attendees, so we don't have any public comments, so we move on. Okay. So the next thing on the agenda is the Elevate event, which is coming up on Friday. So I hope everybody has had time to look at this Word document that was sent around. I can share it. I just had, oh, it's not a Word document. Sorry, it's a PDF. There it is. I can share my copy. It has some of my own comments in it. I don't know how relevant that is. I don't want to bias the discussion. So if someone have a clean copy they want to share, or should I open this copy and continue taking comments in it?
It would be helpful if you could take comments on a singular.
All right, so I'll go ahead and share this version. Let me just get it set up here so that it's easier to see and that the comments are visible. A little bit bigger. Come on, a little bit bigger. What is going on? Oh, I see the problem. There we go. Give me one moment. Okay, and now I'll share it. Okay. Get you guys where I can see you again. All right, so tell us a little bit more about how this is going to work, Tony. I think I'll be there. I think Laura will be there. Steve is going to be there, right?
Yeah.
Neither Laura or Steve are here today, which is unfortunate, but as long
Um,
as we give them some notes or something, I think they'll be okay with summarizing the discussion. I can try to do that.
Do you mind if I share my screen actually before we go through those
Sure, go
questions?
ahead.
I can answer, I can provide better.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys see this.
Yep.
Great.
Make it bigger if you can,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
text. Yeah, there you go.
This is old, so I did come up with a welcome, if you want to read through that briefly. And offer any suggestions.
So this is, you're going to do the welcome?
Yes, this is what I will be reading.
Good. Oh, do we have a home rule? I didn't know any of this. Home rule charter.
I believe that's how I figured, or how I got in contact with ECAC, not you.
Uh-huh.
I can scroll. Great. This is a concern for me, is how would you as panelists like to be introduced? I guess since you're the only one here.
So who are
I'll
the
email Steve and Laura.
panelists are me, Laura, and Steve,
Steve,
right?
yeah.
Just as Lori Goldner, current chair of ECAC, I guess you could say I'm also professor in physics.
Cool. Great. So
And
then
Steve is a professor at Hampshire.
I think Laura actually sent me a short bio.
Okay, great.
Also, sorry, I meant to mention this at first. This is the official time and location.
That's important. So let's get that into the minutes for sure, and also onto our calendars. So give me a second to put this on my calendar. Okay, so it's not at noon. It's at what time?
1:15. I don't know why that is.
1:15. Okay, that's even better. That's good. Okay, good. Let me just make sure I change that.
1:15 and 3 and ILC is the Integrative Learning Center.
Yeah, 1:15 p.m. until 3 p.m. And the location is ILC N211.
Yes.
Okay, very nice.
Great. Moving forward, so this is the flexible agenda that we have. So we'll do assign in handouts if any are provided. Zoe was able to get us a taco and guacamole bar, which is pretty awesome.
Can you send out this agenda to
Yes.
everyone?
Yeah, I
Like,
will.
right-
After this meeting, I'll send it out once we approve what's in it.
Okay,
And then Zoe and I will do the welcome. The panel will run from
and Zoe is, remind us who Zoe is?
She is the Elevate coordinator. When we
Okay.
will meet
Good.
at the discussion. And from 1:25 to 2:15 will be the panel discussion. The range of topics is just there for suggestions. Then from 1:55 to 2:15, we'll do questions and comments and or any small group discussions that you may want. So if there's a question such as how can we figure out ways to get landlords involved, and you kind of want to break out into small groups to discuss that, that would be the time to do it. And then from 2:50 to 3 will be the closing of it.
So do you want, I mean, this is a lot to fit into not very long time. So the question is, how do you want to do usually a panel discussion has some sort of introduction. Each of the members might want to say something. In this case, I don't need to say anything really. I think it's mostly Laura and Steve who've been on the ECAC longer. I presume Laura should give some sort of a background as to what ECAC is and what it does, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And Steve can probably give an update on some of the current issues around solar, as well as a little background. I mean, I can certainly talk about heat pumps a little bit.
They're very interested in heat pumps, actually.
Okay.
It is a huge thing right now for us.
Cool.
I did put in a little bit about pace, just in case you wanted to read something a little bit more formal before discussing pace. It's also for my edification. And this is where we can kind of figure out what's going to be talked by whom.
Yeah.
So I know key challenges, barriers to reaching landlords, renters, all of these I feel like can be discussed by any of you guys. But if there's any specific thing that you or Steve or Laura would like to discuss, I
Yeah,
can
go
make
back
sure
up a
to
little
add
bit.
this.
Go back up
Yeah.
a little bit to the pace thing. Because I don't know. I mean, Dawn has been our point person on pace, and we haven't really done anything with it yet. So I think the most important thing here isn't pace, but just getting landlords involved, even through Mass Save. Just getting the landlords interested in this. I wouldn't
Okay.
emphasize pace in these discussions, I think, because we
Okay.
haven't done anything with it. And it's a notoriously difficult program to do anything with, right?
For sure.
Um,
It is on the banner that I'm having made for the sustainability fair. Is that okay?
Yes,
Okay.
because that's where we want to try to reach out to people, right? It is difficult, but that would
Okay.
be where we might run into somebody, right?
Great. Then I'm going to put a note to myself and I will go in and correct that later.
Yeah.
I'll transfer that over. Maybe I can provide some way in which these points are also on the banner.
I think getting renters involved in any way. Is there no backup heat and subsidized housing? I guess there wouldn't be, would there?
Mm-mm. That's one of the problems that we're Zoe and I have been talking about with heat pumps specifically, is there is no backup. So
They have heat pumps though.
some of them, not all of them, and those that do have heat pumps have the problem.
Yeah, okay. That's something that we talked a little bit about last time.
Let's just say involvement. Sorry.
But okay.
And this is something I will make sure to talk about, the sixth point here. Student opportunities, one of which, sorry.
Yeah. Are these things you want to, let's see, if you go back up, these are the focus areas that you want. So you've sort of already gone through and picked out from the longer list you gave us, the things that you think would be most relevant.
Yes, and I also, it's less of like picking them. I just think that all of the longer list can be condensed to one of these 6.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
So just kind of condensing it so that when I do send this out, it's easier to read.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That might be, let me see.
That does not mean that we have to talk about all of these, but they are the core of what was written previously.
Is like the design that each of the panelists would take one of these topics and talk about it for 5 minutes, or is the design like there's going to be like a moderator asking questions about these specific topics that the panelists are going to respond to?
The first.
Okay.
However, again, it's not like they have to talk about all of them.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah. And it, yeah.
I'm trying to think of how this is going to work. Yeah. So,
So it'd be best, like if like Lori, Laura, and Steve kind of chose based on their comfortability and area of expertise what
Yeah.
what they want to talk about and kind of
Yeah.
gear it around one of these 6 topics.
Yes,
So that's kind of
exactly.
what it sounds like. Yeah.
This is it's going to be a lot to do. You know, I don't know what I would say if somebody asked me to talk about policies, state, federal, and local policies. On the other hand, if somebody asked me to talk about the heat pump program and energy coaching and stuff like that, I could certainly talk about it. Effects on low income residents, I don't quite know what that means
I
because
have information on that. Again, you do not have to talk about or have expertise in all of these. These are just kind of the main 6 core ideas from the previous document that was more expanded.
right, but are
Right.
you talking about policies? I mean, you know, the heat pump program, for example, is targeting low income families, right? Low income residences. There have been other things that have happened in the past that before I got here that I don't know much about, right? That there was the food what's it called? Stephanie, help me out here. There was the food equity thing with the truck that still comes around, I think. What was that?
The Amherst Mobile Market.
Amherst Mobile Market, right, which was aimed at getting, you know, into a food desert, decent food. Because Amherst is effectively a food desert. So, you know,
So that's still a thing.
there have been efforts like that have happened.
And it's still happening. The mobile market still exists.
Mobile market, let me write that.
So if you're trying to think about what policies could mean, it could also be how we run our meetings is kind of general updates. So like if I find something fascinating about transportation that's affecting the Amherst area, it would be something that I'd bring up
Right.
if we get to that kind of section. So it doesn't have to be things from the past or prospective things that are in the works. It could be current updates or trends that we're noticing.
Yeah, this is different from the, so I thought a little bit about you had 4 different categories in the previous document that I spent some time thinking about, and I'm not seeing easily how to fit them into these 6. So, I mean, you know, I had things like, okay, so the town, one of the things you asked about before are what sort of infrastructure related projects has ECAC currently been engaged with in Amherst? And it's not really ECAC, we're just advisory, but the town has implemented a number of projects with our support and encouragement, like the solar array and the heat pump program, right? And a lot of other things, like, you know, other things that we've been involved in. And I could certainly talk a little bit about that, and so could Laura, and so could Steve. And the other things I was thinking about are, you know, policies that are currently under consideration, right? That was another question. You had policies, funding opportunities, and advocacy effects, and advocacy efforts. Well, policies right now that are under discussion are the solar bylaw and getting information about rental properties, right? How we do that. And that's something I think that Elevate, that might be a research project, right? There could be room in there for Elevate to help with collecting information somehow. I don't quite know how that would work.
That's fine. That's a perfectly acceptable topic to speak on.
But I don't.
You mentioned both policies
how
and
that fits into community.
You could put it under collaborations. You could put it under policies. It doesn't have, also doesn't have to go under one of these. If there's something you want to talk about that you don't see, I can also add it to this list. Or I can take away anything from this list that you don't think is effective to be spoken about.
It might be easier if this were posed as questions. I mean, to maybe ask each member to talk a little bit about the things that they've been working on ECAC over the years, and then ask questions or open it up for questions. Or is that the second part? Let's see what's in your.
No. I had a guiding
Agenda?
question down here just to think about breakout questions, but it sounds like this question can be moved up here and then rephrased.
You're going too fast for me. Can you go back to the agenda? What's the agenda
Yeah.
look like again? So panel discussion to me usually means somebody is asking questions. There's maybe a brief, everyone gets to say something, and then somebody asks questions. But then there's after that Q&A and group dialogue, small group discussion. So that's, how does that, are we at that point?
I figured that from 125 to 215 would be you guys just speaking about what you know. And then the panel aspect of it would be the 155 to 215 where they ask the questions in response to the topics that you've brought up that fit within each of your expertise.
Okay, all right. All right, so the prompts at the bottom are really just for us. They're not something that's going to go in the agenda or something like that, right? This is-
Yes,
Okay,
they're just guide.
so I would
guiding.
suggest replacing though community impact with, I don't know what community impact means. I don't know. I like the way the earlier, you know, in the earlier document, it was something about, let's see. You know, how, what policies, funding opportunities, and advocacy efforts are shaping Amherst's future, rather than community impact, because I don't know if that
If you
means
repeat
what is
that
the-
question, I can put it under area of focus.
Yeah, the problem I'm having is I don't know what that means. It sounds like you're asking for what is the impact of, you know, everything on the community, and it's really the what impact has ECAC had on the community. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, this is, yeah.
Okay, community impact.
Like, are we engaging with the community? If so, what does that look like? If we're not, how can we?
Okay,
This is all
that
very
makes-
specific and refined to ECAC.
so I would say how ECAC engages with the community.
Would it be beneficial if I change that here?
Yeah, it would be, because otherwise I'm not quite sure.
Wow.
With the community. And I still think of, I would say including low-income residents, renters, marginalized groups, rather than effects on, then it makes sense to me. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Including. You can even take out the colon, you're just including low income, you know what I mean? And then it becomes a sentence. How ECAC engages with the community, comma, including low income residents, renters, marginalized groups. Equity concerns with underperforming. Again, I don't know what that means.
A topic you do not need to talk about.
Okay. All right. So how ECAC engages with the community, including with low-income residents, not on, including with low-income residents, renters, marginalized groups. Okay. Policy, state, federal, local policy statement. What I'm not seeing here are the things that ECAC is currently working on, right? That's disappeared somehow.
That
Well, I
is,
think that would be like under point 2, like how we engage with community. What
Yes.
are we actively doing to engage with community? That is where you would talk about what
Okay.
things
also, I
we're
will say
actively
all of
working on.
these areas of focus are
But-
specific to what ECAC is doing currently.
I see.
Though you
Okay.
can talk about things
So-
we've done in the past or things with perspective about.
Okay.
Yeah, so like bullet point 3 is probably be better phrase. How does ECAC influence policy in the community from a state, federal, local, well, yeah,
I'm gonna
ECAC
leave it as
policy
ECAC
from
influence
a-
policy.
Influence policy.
from a state, federal, and local standpoint. Like that seems like a,
I say influence or is influenced by.
yeah, that's
Does
also,
that make
yeah.
sense? Yeah. So 2 would be, okay, 2 makes sense then. 2 would be a place we can talk about everything from the heat pump program to the CCA. Right?
mhm,
So those are the sorts of things I was fitting into the other categories, and that fits in there well,
Yeah.
I think.
and then like for 1, it's, what are key challenges that ECAC sees in the community? So, right, like what are key challenges that we prioritize or
yeah,
find
right.
important, right? Like what are those?
Yeah,
Like,
I would,
the
I would
heat
phrase
pump
it.
issue is a big one, right?
Yeah.
The landlord renter gap, equity gaps, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a better way to phrase that, Tony. I would say, what are the key challenges that, now, how did you say it, Michael? I liked what you had.
Do you need
Uh,
more than what are the key challenges?
Yeah, because I
Uh,
don't know what the
it's
context.
just what are the key challenges from that ECAC sees and prioritizes in the community? Or yeah,
Or is addressing.
is addressing in the community. Yeah, I think, yeah.
Actually, I'll leave
What's
that.
our list of priorities, basically?
Which would be also kind of how we have our groups within ECAC that we discussed in the meeting, like transportation,
Right.
solar.
Exactly, yeah.
That makes, yeah. Because when you
Okay.
just said key challenges, I didn't know whether you want us to talk about the key challenges we see at a big scale, or at a, no, you're asking us to discuss the things we're actually working on in town. So that's a little, okay.
For 4, are we saying how can outside members get involved with ECAC? Is that
Yes,
the
however,
theme of
here's what
that?
I can do. I'll put that one as a sub of community.
That's fair.
Get less of its own point. So that when we are thinking about how ECAC engages with the community, we can also think about the reverse side of that. How can other people get
Mhm.
involved?
Okay.
I'll put that.
How does ECAC influence or is influenced by policy? Okay. And joint projects, which could again be the CCA, and there have been some in the past that Laura would know about that I'm not up on. Student opportunities. Okay, cool.
Great. I appreciate that refinement.
Thank you. So thank you for being open
Of
to
course. No.
refining a bit. I don't think we need to look at the other one then. It's in the packet, but this has changed enough that I think we just did what we needed to do.
Great.
So those are the things. Okay, and the panelists check in.
This
who's
is
covering what.
so we just went through who's covering what.
No, we didn't really talk
which
about who's
is
covering what.
well, like every person's covering their area, essentially.
Yeah, we'll talk about what we know.
Yes.
All right, I'll come with some notes, markup to things I want to make sure get covered.
Great.
Um,
This is a reminder for any new or upcoming projects we may want to highlight.
Yeah.
That may not be something we can talk about at length, but something that we want to bring to awareness.
Well, there are certainly things, it has to do with where people can get involved too, right? Like the heat pump program might be something that some people can get involved in, or depending on whether they actually, if they own or know someone who owns a home. And the CCA is certainly something, if you're paying your own electricity bill, that everybody can get involved in.
I think I'll put that in the second time. Get to that. Great. The third point is, are you open to follow-up from students?
Oh,
So
sure.
if okay, great. Because at the bottom, I've put a short survey. I'll go back up. Just specific about this conversation. I don't think I'm going to ask all these questions. I think I'll just do these last 2. And would you be interested in staying involved with ECAC efforts? And hopefully we get some interest. I think we will from the people I know who will be attending.
Are we going to do any sort of what do they call it when you write ideas on a board?
Yeah, I feel like we can do that if we can come up with a breakout group idea for the small group discussions and then give each small group.
So if that's, okay, so I'm still not clear on how this is gonna work then, because if the panel discussion is just us talking,
Mhm.
it's not really a discussion, it's more like a little seminar.
Let me get rid
And the
of
group
this word.
dialogue isn't gonna be people asking the whole panel, it's gonna be a breakout?
No, it can be one or the other or both.
You're not sure of which yet.
No, because that's up to kind of what you guys want to talk about first. And then also if we decide that there is a question, we would want them to discuss in small groups.
How many people are gonna be there, do you think?
We have reserved enough things for 30, but I would say between 10 and 18 is usually like the
Okay,
closest.
so you're thinking, so if we were gonna have brainstorming sessions on things, what are the topics that people would want to see small groups come up with some ideas
Great.
on, right? I
That
guess that's the question.
was,
Mhm.
I did have this question. So that's this question here that we can think about.
Yeah. So I think a big one is how to get landlords involved,
What is this?
right? I would love to hear people's ideas for how to get landlords involved or how to get data.
Data is huge, actually.
And maybe we can do this a little ad hoc since it's unfortunate that Laura and Steve aren't here today. But I have run things like this where we decided at the last minute what the breakout group, I mean, it's good to come with a few ideas for what the breakout groups should be,
Great.
but then something might come up at the meeting. But if you're gonna do it like that, I would say don't let us talk for so long. Give us 5 minutes each to say something and then open it for questions.
Okay.
And let the discussion at the panel level tell you what the breakouts should look like.
Great.
Right? So I would say, you know, I don't even need 5 minutes, I think. I can talk about heat pumps and the heat pump program. If the people want to ask, they can, I'm happy to answer. But you know, I think letting you know, tell Laura she has 5 or 10, maybe give Laura 10 minutes and Steve 10 minutes. How much time is that first section?
So this would be
125 to 215, so 50 minutes. So I would say no more than half of that, you know, 10, 10 and 5 minutes for me would be fine. Steve and Laura have been on the committee longer, they'll have more to say. Give us 10, tell them they have 10 minutes each to say something.
cool.
And then open it for questions. And you should come, if you're going to be the moderator, you should come with a list of prompts in case there aren't good questions from the audience or there are no questions, or
Great.
you could even ask people beforehand if they have questions they want that you could use, you know. If there's is there a registration for this?
There's
No,
not.
okay. All right.
If you think of questions or that are breakout questions between now and Friday, email me and I'll make sure that they're on here so that if you do use this or need
Yeah.
this for reference, you have it.
Right. So the questions I'm talking about are for the panel discussion.
Yeah.
That if people don't have questions they want to ask, then you should have a few prompts. And the
Great.
things that we could talk about, you know, how to get landlords involved, how to get data for sure. Data on yeah.
I'll also pull questions from the things you talk about on Friday.
Right.
That's just kind of more of how I move anyway. So
I'm
I'll make
trying
sure
to
that they are
think.
well within the space your head's already in.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out if there's some way. My personal favorite topic right now is to harass everybody and anybody about renewable diesel on campus.
I mean, it's definitely something we could talk about because I don't think many of the grad students at this event will even be aware that that is a thing.
So maybe that's something that I could talk about as a concern that ECAC has.
That's embarrassing.
DEI.
EI.
DEI. Yeah, that looks right.
I know, right? It's a word I try to get away from.
Yeah. So that's something that we're concerned about, but we don't have much say in. But it is something that, you know, I feel like one of ECAC's jobs is to let people know what's going on, and we did advise the town on it.
If that's a breakout question, like Lori would you want to discuss that in the 5 minute, or at least make that part
Yeah,
of your
I would-
5 minute?
I would make it,
like
I would make it part
presentation?
of, yeah, I would make it part of my 5-minute spiel.
Okay.
And I will try to, I will not bring any slides. I have a 15-minute.
Only 5 minutes though.
Yeah, I have a 15-minute spiel I've been giving to the administrators at UMass on renewable diesel, which I will not give. But I will say that this is a concern, and if it's something that folks want to talk about, we could do that in one of the
And then I
breakouts.
can,
What's mostly needed there is people's knowledge and advocacy. I don't think people know yet. I did a radio interview that
Right.
apparently aired yesterday. I got one email as a result. That's how I know it aired.
Uh,
But yeah,
great.
so
We should look at 5
good.
as well. Do any of you, I guess, do you, Lori, since you're the only one here, plan on using slides or?
yeah,
Okay,
I want you slides for this.
just to make sure if you do, we can get the room set up.
If Laura wants to use slides to talk about CARP or the sustainability dashboard, I mean,
She does have a really good slide. I should reach out and ask her.
yeah, why don't we reach out to Laura on that one? I would say you should have I mean, the room's got to be equipped, right? This
It
is
will be,
ILC.
yes. It's just a
So-
matter if it will be prepared ahead of time.
I would say just assume that somebody will probably want to use slides. It probably won't be me, but I do think people should see the sustainability dashboard. It's something that is sadly missing at UMass. There isn't a really good sustainability dashboard at UMass. There's a lot of hype, but not a useful dashboard.
Great.
Are there other breakout topics?
Anyone else on the committee have something that's near and dear to their heart that they'd like to involve students in? Research projects? There's another one relevant to campus that people are talking about now, which is how, maybe we should have a meta discussion about how can grad students in particular, these are grad students in Elevate, right?
Yes.
How can grad students in particular be more involved in local, what sort of research would be useful? What sort of expertise do they have that they think might be useful to the town, to the university, to ECAC, just in the community? What sort of tools do they have? It's sort of, I see these things as a opportunity to get the hammers and the nails together, right? You guys have hammers, we have nails. Right.
Great. Otherwise, yes, and again, the survey will just be these last 3 questions, not the first 2. So would you be interested in staying involved with ECAC efforts? What is one idea or concern you're taking away from today? And then how can we support your continued engagement in Amherst Energy Future? I should also just put a suggestions question of sorts to give them that power.
Yeah, I think we should save some time at the end for the breakouts to report out.
Yes,
You should try to give at least 10 minutes, maybe.
that
depends on how many breakouts.
is.
There you go. Okay, you got 10 minutes at the end. I
Yeah.
bet it'll go a little later than that. It's too bad we can't go a little bit later. Oh, wait, does that say 150? What was the timing there? 155 to 2:15 and then 2:50 to 3.
There's 2 155s to 2:15.
Oh,
125
Oh,
to
yes.
2:15.
2:15, and then it should
So
be
that's-
2:15 to
Should be-
2:50. Something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Oh, I see. So you have both the.
Right.
Well, the first thing is just the intro though, right? So you have the intro at 1:15, 125 the panel, 2:15 to 2:50 Q&A or small group. Yeah, I think that should really be probably small group dialogue. Yeah, group dialogue or small group discussions. That's fine.
Cool.
And then closing in next steps. Yeah.
Great.
Mhm.
I
And that'll
will.
be that we can report out. We can have some sort of a colorful, if you have a colorful, we could probably do it on the board in there and then just take a picture.
Yes, I can. I'll make sure the room is equipped with the
But
necessary
sometimes,
supplies.
sometimes it's fun to have an actual piece of paper or something that you can decorate. But a picture of a board is also fine.
Great. I will share this, save this, and share it. with you. I will share it in a way in which you can also edit it. Sorry, the first one was a PDF.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll share this one as a doc so you have the.
So I think you should write in there, write in specifically, if you like the idea of giving Laura and Steve 10 minutes each and me 5 minutes to say something, you should put that in there.
I have
And-
that on my personal one
Okay, so
that I'll be using when I moderate /
well, not for moderating. I'm saying you need to, the one thing I'm a little worried about is I feel like I haven't been terribly well informed about what's going to happen on Friday, and things changed from last time to this time, right? So so I think it's important to send this out with what you expect from each person with the timing on it so that Laura and Steve know what to prepare.
To be honest, do not feel comfortable giving them a time frame when this is kind of one of those things that is flexible. This
Okay,
is,
all right.
like if they want to talk at length about something, I don't want to make them feel like they have to
All right.
confine it, if that makes sense.
Okay. Right,
However, I
okay.
also don't imagine that they're going to talk at length for that long of an amount of time.
Right. You are comfortable with slightly more chaos than I am comfortable with.
A little bit, yeah.
But it's your event, and that's
That
fine.
is true. I do like I'm cool with
That's
it.
fine. That's fine. It's gonna be
But I
fine.
do have that noted because you are correct that we should make sure that we get time for those Q&A and the post discussion. So I do have
In the panel discussion.
yeah.
All right.
Any last thoughts on this?
Anyone have any other ideas or input?
Okay. Cool. I will save and send. Man, okay.
And Stephanie, if you will make sure we all get that as soon as possible, that would be great. And this has to go in the
Yes.
packet too, I think, in place of the, or,
Yeah, it does, because it was displayed, so anything displayed needs to get put in
Yeah.
the packet.
yeah. And the other one can probably be left out since we never discussed it. It was only displayed for a second.
Great.
Yep.
I'm gonna stop sharing
that.
now. If that's okay.
All right. Moving on, let's get back to the agenda here. Laura's not here, so the next thing was the op-ed submission, but that will have to get put off till next week. Then we're back to Amherst Sustainability Festival planning. So let's see, I think I have everybody here signed up for a slot, right? Or Michael, were you not going to be around? Is that the case? I think you weren't going to be around, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to attend.
All right, so we're good. I think we have one more meeting before that, yes? Oh,
Yes.
I did want to show here, let me do this now. I left my so this is the banner that we have. It's quite large. It's like 6 feet, right? So it fits all the way across the front of the table. So any other banners would either have to sit in front of this, which is fine, if it's more important than this, which it probably will be, or hang from the top. So we'll need some tape or something. I'll try to remember to bring something so that they can hang. I checked that all of what's on here is the sustainability dashboard. I forget what this is. This is also from the sustainability dashboard, like what you can do, things you can do. Valley Green Energy is linked, and this is the CARP. So all of these QR codes still work, which is nice. I think this one is ECAC's website. Question? So I just wanted to show you guys that that's the banner that I had done up last year, and we'll have it printed. It doesn't have PACE on it. So that was something we decided we wanted to have to hand out. And I guess the rest of the last minute planning as to who's bringing what we can do next time. But I think we had volunteers. Remind me who's bringing. Caitlin, were you bringing the tent?
Yep, that's me. I'm bringing the tent.
And we will have electricity, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna get you near power.
So that means, who's bringing the screen? Was that you, Michael?
I can give it to somebody to bring.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're not coming.
But
Then don't bother, because I have one, unless someone else who's coming has
Okay.
one. I have a big monitor. I have a monitor that's, big that I can bring. just one more thing I have to remember. Um, Just bringing the laptop. Anyone have a laptop?
Yeah, again, I have an extra one if you want to, that I can hand somebody, but,
It probably needs your login though, right? So maybe we should.
yes.
I am really loath to bring. The only computer that I outright own myself has my life on it, and the other ones are all UMass computers. That ostensibly I could bring, but they're not mine, right? So it's a little weird, and they also have student data and stuff on them. So that's the big problem here is, do we have a laptop or something we can use? I'm trying to think if there's anything I can bring. I don't think I can bring a laptop.
I could potentially bring my personal laptop. I'm just wondering, are we just showing the dashboard, or is the idea to allow people to explore the website via the laptop?
Good question.
I think because I think I had suggested this, and I was just suggesting you show people the sustainability dashboard. And you sort of scroll through as to like, here are the things you can look up, and just to give people a general, here's how to find it, here's what it is, just to encourage people to go on and start exploring. There's so much information there. So that was the purpose, not for them to sit down and start doing that.
Okay. Yeah, if we can be the ones that are kind of driving it, then I can bring mine.
Okay. And we'll have it there at least while you're there in the morning, and then maybe we can find out if Steve or somebody else can bring another one. So I mean, like I say, I'm loath to, I'm gonna be running around mostly sitting in the heat pump booth.
I guess,
So
will there be Wi-Fi connection? Or will somebody have to hotspot?
There's
Okay,
already on the
Commercial.
Tom Common, there's Wi-Fi.
okay.
okay,
Didn't know that
so-
actually, so.
Yeah, downtown, there's Wi-Fi.
Okay, so I will bring monitor and a bag full of adapters,
Oh,
which I have from years of teaching.
Do you happen to have any Apple adapters?
I don't, I might.
Okay.
Apple and other
I'll see.
manufacturers have converged in recent years, so.
Yeah, I know. I might have a general HDMI adapter. I'll double check on that.
Yeah,
I'll provide one just in case.
yeah,
That'd
okay.
that'd be awesome.
All right. So, yeah, because I mostly don't use Apple. I mostly use Windows machines. All right, so we're converging on that. We'll talk more about that next time. Anyone else have anything else to talk about with the Sustainability Festival? We forgetting anything, Stephanie?
I don't think so. It's going to be a pretty full event. I keep getting people wanting to come on, and I think we have Mass Save contacted me and said they want to have a booth. We just got some sponsorship funding from USA Waste and Recycling, which is nice. And the Barry Roberts, the Roberts Group, also gave us some sponsorship funding. So
Yeah.
we're in good shape there.
USA Waste and Recycling has been pushing my Facebook feed very hard with ads of how they will collect organics from Amherst for a fee, and it's not small. So that I thought was interesting. I think that was in direct response to our efforts there.
Yeah, they're gonna have a booth space there as well.
Yeah.
But we've got a lot of great activist groups, and it's a really nice mix.
All right, so it's 6:26. I know we're going to lose Tony in a few minutes. So why don't we just quickly go through what are the most important updates? Because when we lose Tony, we lose our quorum? 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yes.
5. Yes. So
Hmm.
important updates. Let's go right to, if it's okay with folks, I'm going to skip 6 and 7 and go right to any important updates. Stephanie?
Yeah, I really, I don't really have anything other than what I've been reporting, so
Okay.
maybe next meeting I can update.
All right. I have a couple of small things. The heat pump coaches in Northampton are starting to function, even though they're not advertising yet. I sent them a client this week. Somebody contacted me and I just didn't have time. So and they're in Northampton anyway, so I sent them over to them. So if that's pretty exciting. They have a Heat Smart Alliance group. I will join it as soon as I retire and add to it an Amherst component. So that's exciting. The subcommittee at UMass that is working on decarbonization, that's supposed to be advising the chancellor, met for the first time this week. And I gave them a presentation on renewable diesel that I hope had an effect. Other than that, the only thing, I had a question for you, Stephanie, that we can discuss at a later date. Yeah, let's just do that at our meeting this week. So I think I don't have anything else. Agenda items for the next agenda meeting. I think we're going to have let's have a, what do you call it? A discussion of how the Elevate event went. Let's keep that on the agenda one more time.
So Elevate recap.
Yeah, Elevate recap or whatever. What's the word for that? There's a word for that when you go back and
Debrief.
debrief. Elevate debrief. Very good. We'll have an Elevate debrief, and the op-ed submissions should stay on there, and the festival should stay on there, and I think that's probably it for now.
Okay.
So if there's nothing else, knowing that Tony has to leave in 1 minute, shall we adjourn? All in favor? Say bye.
Bye.
All
Bye-bye.
right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care,
Good night.
Stephanie. Yep.